My husband ditched me at the hospital to hike with his mom, and I don't know if I can forgive him. Posted by you/puzzleheaded tooth 255. I, 29F, am really disappointed with my husband, 30M, and furious at his mother, old hag. Sorry this is so long. And throwaway for privacy. For context, my husband is from the West Coast, where his mother still lives. He moved to the East Coast for college, and that's where we met, after graduation. At the start of our relationship, she would visit 3 to 4 times a year and make him take PTO so he could entertain her throughout her visit. After 2 years of this, while we were still dating, I asked him how we were ever meant to go on a vacation together if his PTO was spent at home with his visiting mother. We agreed to save PTO for a trip to Europe we took in 2023, and he agreed to tell his mother he couldn't take off from work every time she visited. In my last job, I was able to work from home 4 days a week, and every time she visited, she sulked all day like a puppy who'd had her toys taken away. But once my husband came home, a switch flicked and she was happy, and clingy, again. So here's the issue now: my husband and I moved states about 6 months ago, closer to my family. I have a new doctor who recommended me for a surgery that my old doctor kept putting off. It's not a complicated procedure, and it will greatly increase my quality of life for decades. My mother-in-law decided she's due for a visit and wants to explore our new town, saying she'd come to help around the house while Op recovers. I'm going to be out of surgery and in pain, and I really don't want to put up with her energy. However, we agreed, with my husband saying this isn't a sightseeing visit, she's here to help out, cook, clean, laundry, etc., so I can rest and recover. She can come for a proper visit later in the year. My husband dropped me off at the hospital on Wednesday. It was meant to be surgery, then one night overnight at the hospital for observation. On Thursday, the doctor told me my labs were not where he'd like them to be, and I should stay another night for observation and new lab work in the morning. I called my husband and told him that I'd hopefully be home the next day, early in the afternoon. He did not visit on Thursday at all. On Friday, I was discharged and called my husband to tell him that I'd be ready in about an hour. It went straight to voicemail, and I figured he was probably in a meeting, so I'd try again in a little bit. After calling a few times over the course of over an hour, I called my sister, who was lucky enough to be excused from work for the afternoon, many thanks to her understanding boss. She drove 90 minutes to get me and took me home, and the house was in shambles: laundry baskets on the dining room table, the litter box not cleaned since Wednesday morning, days of dirty plates in the sink, etc. I just broke down crying. She packed me a bag and took me to her apartment to recover for 2 weeks. On Friday night, my husband called me asking where I was and said the hospital told him I had already been discharged. He had been on a hike with his mother, and there was no cell phone service, so he missed my calls, which also meant he took PTO for his mom's visit again. Obviously, I can't ban him from taking PTO, but wouldn't you rather spend that freed up time with your wife at the hospital instead of on a date with your mom? I told him that I no longer feel comfortable recovering in our house and that I won't be returning until it's thoroughly cleaned and his mother is gone. He's calling me a jerk because his mother just wanted to get to know our new area, and I wasn't able to leave the hospital anyway, and that I was making a big deal out of this. I yelled that he essentially abandoned me at the hospital and entertained someone whose being there was supposed to make recovery easier, not more stressful, and that she was there for support, not on a vacation. Maybe it's just the pain and pain meds, but am I in the wrong here? Is this a stupid hill to die on? There's a part of me telling me to see a divorce lawyer just to see what my options are because I'm not sure this will ever change. I know this is going to sound incredibly selfish, but I want kids, and I now don't see myself having any with my husband in the foreseeable future. And if this isn't going to work out, I don't want to spend the next 5 years wasting time and money on therapy and missing a chance to find someone I actually can start a family with, someone who can be a committed father and husband before he's a son. Many thanks to anyone who's read all of this. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. Mommy's boy couldn't even be bothered to visit you in the hospital? This is definitely the hill to die on. Cut your losses and leave him to his mommy. Commenter 2. Exactly, didn't visit and then went out of contact when there had already been a complication. What was his plan if those labs that needed to be watched had turned into needing to contact next of kin? Op's response. He kept saying it was a simple procedure and there wouldn't be any emergencies. It was a simple but invasive surgery. It's not like I had a mole removed. Commenter 3. Your husband dropped you off? My mother had 95 surgeries in her lifetime, he was at the hospital for all 95. Stay at your sister's house and have her get your stuff. This is the mountain to die on. Commenter 4. Possible disagree here. I've had a couple of surgeries, and I prefer to just be dropped off. I don't see any reason for my husband to just sit around when there's nothing he can possibly do to influence the outcome. But, that is my preference, and Op's preference might be different. However, I do want/expect my husband to visit if I'm going to be in the hospital overnight, and from Op's tone it seems like she does too, so that's a red flag. The point is, it's not staying or visiting or picking up, it's knowing what your partner wants and doing that. Op didn't seem super upset about the dropping off part, just the visiting and picking up part. I will say that going somewhere without cell service on a day you know your partner will likely need you is a jerk move no matter what the circumstances. Op's response. To be fair, that's me, too. I didn't want him to take PTO for the whole day, but I did expect him to visit me after work at least to check in. Update 1 month later. Hi all. I posted a month ago about my husband basically abandoning me at the hospital to entertain his visiting mother. I thought I'd post an update. We are done. I'm still at my sister's place, and my boss is letting me work remotely due to the commute, but I have an apartment I'm moving into in July that's a 10-minute drive from my job. Thank you to everyone who responded. It was a bit overwhelming. I went into defensive mode and thought I had put my husband in a bad light, but you all really slapped the rose-colored glasses off me. We spoke on the phone every day the first week I was away. He asked his mother to leave ASAP so I would feel comfortable coming back home. After a week, I told him I still needed space and was coming the next day to grab more things. Once he saw that I had an empty bag and my sister brought 2 empty pieces of luggage, he realized I was taking a lot because I wasn't planning to come back soon. He asked to talk, and I figured we should get it done and over with. I told him we needed to separate. He tried to argue that his mother only visits a few weeks out of the year and that things are great otherwise. I told him that the issue is he expects me to be okay during those weeks with him ignoring my feelings to cater to hers. I said things don't magically go back to normal once she leaves. There's resentment toward him for weeks for doing it again, and self-hatred for me allowing it to happen again. He asked to go back to couples therapy. I told him it didn't work last time. We had a great therapist who helped him put boundaries in place and deliver consequences when his mother overreached. But as soon as she'd arrive, she'd break one boundary, he'd let it pass, and then she had carte blanche to stomp on them all. And when I tried to reinforce them, I'd get no support and be the bad guy. I told him I'm turning 30 this year and I want to start a family. But I can't see starting one with him. If he can't put me first when I'm just out of surgery, why would I think he'd put our children first? I reminded him that his mother is retiring in less than 10 years. What happens when she decides she's frail and lonely? I asked him if he'd move her and whether I was okay with it or not. He replied, I'm all she has. It really hit me then. This was not the life I thought we were building together. It was not the life I wanted or could settle for. He asked if he was really that bad of a husband. I sorta lied and said, no, but you're just not the husband I need. I told him he either needs a wife who's okay with being the side piece in his relationship with his mother or no wife at all. I left with my sister, and 10 minutes into the ride back to her place, his mother called me. I sent it to voicemail. I started laughing, and my sister asked what was so funny. I said, the first thing he did was call his mommy and tattle on me for leaving. Papers have been served, and it's been pretty amicable so far, fingers crossed. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. I pity him a little. She has put her claws into him so deep that he'll never be able to live his own life and form meaningful relationships with people other than her. Good for Op to realize what that would mean for their marriage and walking away. Op's response. I kind of pity him, too. I don't think he'll ever have a healthy relationship with any woman in his life. Commenter 2. He called his mom immediately LMAO. Congratulations on ditching that loser baby man boy. Editor's note. Op's account is now disabled/suspended, so no further updates will be made from this account, although I'm assuming this is concluded since papers have been served and she has no intention of going back.